Welcome, church. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Walk in Wisdom as we go through the book of Proverbs. Today we're on Proverbs chapter 9. And it's a very interesting chapter that does a personification of wisdom and of folly. And what's surprising about it is you'll see that the similarities of wisdom and folly, not that they are exactly alike, because we all know that they're not, but there's some similarities that would cause you to confuse the two, maybe. So let's walk through this chapter. It starts off by personifying the way of wisdom. It says, wisdom has built her house. And it talks about the 7 pillars and slaughtered her beasts and mixed her wine. And then it says that she calls from the highest places in town and says, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come, eat bread, drink of wine I have mixed, leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. But then when we go down further in the chapter and it talks about the way of folly, listen to the similarities here. It says, the woman of folly is loud and seductive and knows nothing. So these are some little bit of differences, but listen to this. She takes seat in the highest places of town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. And she says, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks sense, she says. So you see, that's the same exact line that wisdom is calling out. But then it says, stolen water is sweet. Bread eaten in secret is pleasant. He who does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. So there's some similarities here. So wisdom and folly are both calling out. So as we walk through our lives, as we walk through our everyday, wisdom and folly are both calling us. And they have a similar call, and they're calling from similar places. But we need to be mature enough to know the difference between which one to choose, so that we know how to choose the right one. So we need to understand what wisdom is as opposed to folly, because if we choose the wrong one, we start walking down the wrong path. And they have the same call. They both say, hey, if you're simple, come here. Hey, if you lack sense, come to me. But folly, what it teaches us isn't good for us. And wisdom, what teaches us good, teaches us to follow Christ, teaches us to walk in love and grace and humility. Folly teaches us to steal, to walk in ways that pleasure us, in ways that are that bring us joy and pleasure, as opposed to serving others and walking to help others and doing things that thinking of others higher than ourselves. So there's a difference between wisdom and folly. The only way for us to truly make that decision the right way is to know our word, to know what God says about both. Because if we know those things, then when folly calls us, we'll be able to know what it's saying. We'll be able to know that it's calling us the wrong direction. And when wisdom calls us, it'll be something that resonates in our spirits, something that we recognize from reading the Word of God, something we recognize from being in prayer, something we recognize from worshiping God and being in His presence. When we can be in His presence, be in His Word, be in prayer, then we'll know when wisdom is calling as opposed to when folly is calling, and we'll be able to make that right decision. So as you go about your week, and as we continue through the book of Proverbs, which talks a lot about wisdom, in case you haven't noticed, be aware that it's not just wisdom that's calling out to us. It's not just God that's trying to bring us in, but there's an enemy out there as well that's trying to bring us. There's the world out there that's trying to bring us. There's folly that's trying to call us. That's trying to call us to go fall and go do the things we're not supposed to do. So as we go through this, I really encourage you to dig deeper into these chapters and learn more about what Proverbs says about wisdom, because I think it would be very helpful for us to know, so that when we have both sides calling us, when we have the angel and the devil on our shoulders calling out to us, that we'll know which one to choose and we'll know which one's the right one. So church, hopefully soon we will see each other in person again. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the time with your family, and I hope you make the most of it, and just pray that God would bless all of you, and we love you, and see you soon.